Please don't cry. Good morning and welcome back to the Veggie Patch, to our second video about the complete composting system. It's a second one in a three-part series, and this week we're looking at the chicken coop, the composting tunnel, and how that integrates with the garden and ultimately with us. Ultimately, that might be the wrong word. Hey. Because we all everything is part of the system, and this is the way we designed it. Everything needs each other, and sort of to express this and get our kids to understand it, and I'm going to bring you along for the ride, is I want to sit them around the table today and talk about the needs and the yields of each of these elements: the chicken coop, the garden, the compost, and the kitchen representing the human element in this regard. And we will look at the needs and yields of each of these elements. Very simply, a need is what does the compost, for example, require to function. And once it's done that, after the compost have done its function, what does it provide? And we'll do that for each of those four elements. And in that way, we get our kids to understand how everything is connected, how if you pull one string on one of these things, it affects everything else. And that's why when we manage these systems, that you can't just do each thing in isolation. You have to look at the repercussions, what happens down the line, and it's vitally important. And that's where the reasons why we want to manage holistically becomes really important, is because you don't know which strings you're pulling, and if you've got a compass, your holistic context guiding your decisions, you ultimately bring the whole system closer towards what your ideal future would be. Okay, it got quite deep there quite quickly, but let's get the kids involved. Cheers, bye. Morning everybody.
Morning everybody. Morning.
This week, and we just quickly want to go over a couple of things with the kids. Okay, remember what we spoke about last night, eh? Okay, so we're going to look at what the compost gives us and what the compost needs, what the chickens need and what they give us, what the garden needs and what it gives us, and what the kitchen needs and what it gives us. Okay, the kitchen. Okay, so let's look at what a compost needs.
Water.
Yes.
And in those.
They need nitrogen material.
In oxygen.
Nitrogen material and carbon material. That's material.
In oxygen.
Yeah, I'll get there now. Material. We're just going to say greens and browns. That's the stuff that we put in. I'm not going to call it oxygen. I'm just going to say air, because air made up of all kinds of different things, one of which is oxygen. There's also nitrogen, there's helium, there's all sorts of things. So we're just going to call it air. So in that material there are nutrients, I'm just going to write, and minerals.
Scraps.
Those are all the good things. Part of the material we can say is kitchen scraps. What does compost give us?
And my soil for the plant.
And what that is just a place, something for plants to grow inside. It also gives the plants minerals and nutrients.
Yep.
Okay, so what does the compost give the chickens?
Exercise, like they scratch.
Yeah, good. That gives them something, exercise.
And to eat something. And to eat grubs.
Yeah. And it also gives, there's a little bit of water.
Yeah.
And inside the compost there's a little bit of air,
Yep.
Okay, so let us look. What does the compost needs? Water, so it can get, there's water, so it can get water from, the water from the veggie patch. It can get the water from the veggie patch. And what we mean by the veggie patch is the whole environment. Where does the compost get its minerals from? The minerals can come from
compost.
No, for the compost, it can come from the veggie patch. So we draw a line to the veggie patch. Oh, to there, sorry. Then it can get its minerals from the kitchen. Okay, all the way to the kitchen. And it can get it also gets its nutrients from the chicken poo. You see how the compost is connected to all three? You see that? Okay, where can it get its air from? The air is one of those things that everyone's got. What's important that we make sure that there's clean air.
Oxygen.
What does the compost give? The compost gives minerals, but we can't eat those minerals in the compost. First, we need to put it through something. So we give the minerals to the veggie patch, and the vegetables take those minerals that we can't eat and turns it into food that we can eat. Then those nutrients gives it to the kitchen. You see? And then once we finished with those nutrients, those food scraps, we give it to the chickens. You see that?
Yeah.
And then the chickens poo it out and it's back in the compost. You see how it's done a whole circle? Do you see how everything's connected? Yeah, Etienne?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 5. Okay. So that was a shortened clip of the full exercise. We spent quite a bit of time chatting about that and going through each of the needs and yields of each of those elements, and it was nice to see the kids understand that how the connections are, and once you make an impact on one thing, how it goes through the whole system. And I was just speaking about conventional fertilizers and other chemicals that we might add if we sprayed for insects, how that chemical could go into the plants, then goes into us, or the plants go to the compost, or then into the chickens, and then basically it explains how everything is connected. So little actions have repercussions that we aren't always aware of. So, but that was more of a needs and heals exercise, and we didn't really look at the composting system as a whole. So basically what we do is, you saw where we were right in the beginning of this clip or this video, how I chuck the veggies in. So if we chuck in compost from, remember the first video, the big pile outside, and we put the pile there, then in a week's time we move it across, and I'm going to chuck in a little time lapse here. And every afternoon I pile it up and I let the chickens get at it, and they flatten it out again. And they're quite effective at that, and they break that material down quite quickly while defecating in it and really just adding more nutrients into the system. Then it goes into the big tire, there it matures. What we also do is once a week underneath where the chickens sleep, I've got fencing, so the poo falls straight through, and we just collect it there, and that all goes into that first pile, and then it goes in. So it's about 3 weeks outside, then 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks it's into the tire, and it's probably there. So in about 8 weeks we've cycled nutrients through, and it doesn't, this process doesn't make the composting quicker, it just gives me a supply every week. In the summer months I was getting two loads through a week because the heat and stuff. Now that the winter's coming on, I noticed everything's settling down a little bit. Not the heat, obviously, a lot of the microbial life in the compost is slowing down, but we're still getting 1 load a week, so that's good. I think as we go into maybe June, July, we'll take a load every 2 weeks, but at that point I think I would have enough compost for the winter. Then I'll be stockpiling for the summer again, but we use compost in everything. But this is not where it ends. In the third and final video of our composting system, I'm going to talk about the amendments that we put in just to make it some of the world's best compost. I really put a lot of effort into the amendments. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family, or with anybody that might appreciate this. Okay, cheers, bye.